Hi everyone, welcome to our weekly finance call. We are just getting started and we have few items by Jeremy on the agenda, so I'll hand it over to Jeremy.
Yeah, so first item is about the 4.5 release timeline. I was wondering what people thought about how to move forward with what we have currently. So we have an Alpha 3, I think. And if I look at the 4.5 release plan issue, I think we were supposed to release the first beta September the 8th, which was 2 days ago, but it didn't happen, which is okay. But usually, I think what we try to do is have all of the PRs that we would like to land for the next release open before a date, and then try to not open new one, or if they are open late, then they should be considered for the next release. So question is, are people happy with the current set of open PRs that we should try to merge before maybe not the first beta, but I don't know, maybe the second or third beta, so within a few weeks? Or do we want a little bit more time to look into fixing more issues and opening more PRs? So for now, I think we were still targeting JupyterCon a little bit before for the final release. So if we want to allow for a bit more time, I don't know how long we can wait. So yeah, that's the first item I'm happy to discuss now or after. I think the second item I have is a little bit related. It's one PR in particular, which is related to fixing all of these issues with the scrolling in notebooks. And the PR link there has a new mode, which uses a browser API. So all of the CI passes because it's not actually put on the test. But since it's such a big issue and people still complain about virtual scrolling issues, maybe, and I think it was also suggested in the PR itself that maybe we should just go with it, have it in the release and let people try, and hopefully that will fix most of the issues before we think more about it, like whether we should put it as a default mode, also put it on the test, UI test on CI. It sounds like it's the kind of PRs that will be useful to have released as soon as possible. So yeah, that's all I have. Happy to discuss.
Mike, go ahead.
I would encourage getting that PR out, but I would also be a more less cautious and more keen to enable it by default in the beta. If we don't see that this is if people test and start reporting problems, new problems, or old problems persisting, then we revert it back, and we didn't lose anything. If we release that and that's an opt-in, I don't think we'll get enough testing to be confident to consider releasing that as a new default mode.
Yeah. So then that means that we could merge the PR as it is right now, maybe open a new one and make it the default. So we can also see like how the CI is going to behave, right? Maybe it's just going to fail all over the place. That would be like the first step, right?
Well, it is going to fail, at least because the
Minimap, right?
minimap issue,
Yeah.
which I think someone did quite some work too, Martin, here, to address, but I didn't have time to come back. There was some change needed in the API exposing something. If someone had time to look into that, that would be amazing, I think. Um, I might try to help next week, but won't be able to help this week.
So I guess that if we change the default to content visibility, so we end up with a failing CI, then we need to choose whether we fix the CI, for example, updating the snapshots that would probably not have the minimap anymore, or we skip them because it won't be very, how to say, like nice to have the failing CI for a very long time, I guess, on the Jupyter repo, right?
Well, most likely the snapshots will change because like even sub-pixel changes will make the CI fail. I think minimap we should get fixed so that it is available in this new mode. And if we are changing the default mode, we should preserve the minimap as a feature, even if it's operating, even if there are some tiny regressions, even if it's not behaving perfectly. But the feature itself should stay.
Yeah. I was trying to think like how fast we could have that released, right? But then it means that we need to fix the CI and also enable the minimap for that mode before we can have that in an alpha or beta release.
As a default, yes, we can cut
Yes.
a new release with that mode as an opt-in any day now.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So maybe we could do that first, right? Like maybe a new alpha with that PR. And then right after look into changing the default and fixing the minimap. Yeah, we don't know for sure if people are experiencing the issue and never going to GitHub to comment on the erratic scroll, the famous issue we have, or if they just stay quiet and they just use it like it is. Yeah. Okay.
Jeremy, for your previous issue for the release timeline, you mentioned that it would talking about maybe it's a good time to cut off PRs is kind of what I understood. Is that something we should discuss in that issue or maybe here on the call?
Yeah, here or in the issue, yeah, for sure. I think the cutoff is you also to help like maintainers and reviewers to not have like a super long list of PRs to review and just focused on the ones that are meant to be merged for 4.5. I may have one or two more to open that probably are they will probably need some time to be finished, but I mean, for the previous releases, it was okay. I mean, if someone is working on something and doesn't have time to finish it like in the coming days, it's okay to open a PR, I think, in draft mode, and then get back to it later.
And I think previously when the timeline was sort of created, there were some weeks between, like we want to allow 3 weeks between like the beta and or RC, beta and RC, was it?
Yeah, so maybe we should just update kind of the date we had in this issue, which was September 8th, to something else. Maybe we push it by 1 week. And then try to have these PRs open, and in the meantime, a new release, and then maybe a first beta next week.
I think that an updating date would be good. If I remember, there was like a little bit of a buffer time before Jupyter Console. Pushing it a week, I think, still allows for the times that people wanted to kind of offer.
Is there anyone here working on something that they would like to have released in 4.5? Okay, I see Mike left a comment. No, nothing. Okay, cool. Extensibility improvements. Oh yeah. Yeah, so if we're done, maybe I had another quick point. I could just post the link here. Actually, because I saw the. Okay, no, maybe I can just let Jason talk about it. I opened an issue about the Jupyter workshops, but there is an item on about this right after, so I'm done.
Jeremy, yeah, Jason, if you want to take over.
Sure, though I would rather that Jeremy talk about the workshop. My question is really about if there's interest in proposing a front ends type workshop, though I know Jeremy, I think you're working on an AI related workshop.
Yeah,
is
that's
that
right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that may be
Zach.
the like front ends workshop that we want to do this round. As in, like, if people were going to go to a front ends workshop, come to the AI workshop type of thing. Can you tell us a little more about what you're thinking around that?
About the AI workshop or other ideas? Yeah. So we started to draft something with Zach. We've mostly been talking on Zulip for now, and there is also a draft Google Doc for that proposal. And I think the idea would be to meet with people working on AI integrations in Jupyter and see if there is like something we could do to have a less fragmented kind of ecosystem, because currently there are different efforts happening in this space. There is Jupyter AI. There's also Notebook Intelligence. They don't share anything. Like really, nothing is shared between these projects, and it sounds like a lot of duplicated work. Also, like the projects go in different directions, and to the end users, it may look quite a bit confusing. Like if you're looking for AI integration in your notebooks or JupyterLab, then it's not very clear like what you should use, and also what is kind of coming from the Project Jupyter team or the Jupyter Frontends team. So a workshop like this would be a good place to see if there is like more that could be shared between all of these different kind of projects, because in the end it's also useful to have something like end user product like Jupyter AI, which comes with a lot of things configured by default. But it's also useful to have like lower level blocks like extensions, plugins, server-side components that can be reassembled in different ways, like we're used to in the Jupyter ecosystem. So there's this, there is some work and discussion around protocols. There is a JEP currently open, but like accessing AI representation, which is I think a little bit stale right now. And in general, I mean, it's just a topic that is all over the place. So it's something that I guess Jupyter cannot really, avoid, because it's what people in the end kind of want also. So yeah, there is a lot of interest in this one. But I don't know if if it makes sense to spend time drafting another one for more like a Jupyter Frontends related topics like we were talking about in one of the previous meetings, like I don't know, the build system and so on. In the end, I don't know, like, is it 3 proposals that are likely going to be accepted, 3 or 4? So we could send more, of course. But if we know that maybe it makes more sense to focus on one and then try to have that one accepted. So yeah, I don't know. But yeah, that's where we stand right now.
Okay, yeah, and I was going to ask your other thoughts about possible workshop topics, not just for this time, but I mean, there will be presumably a future round as well, but maybe focus on this time. That's right, we had talked about CI/CD or other potential workshops that would be cross sub-project. Is there interest from anybody else, since you're sort of busy on the AI workshop logistics, for submitting a workshop proposal? Okay, let's throw our weight behind the AI workshop. Fantastic. If there is interest from anybody else, feel free to reach out on Zulip. I'm happy to brainstorm with anybody about workshop proposals, etc. Okay, the foundation funding proposal is open until September 28th. This is quite a bit broader than meetings getting together type of thing. There's quite a bit of funding that's available from the foundation. We wanted to open it up to community proposals. I know there's a few proposals in the mix right now. Are there ideas? One, I wanted to make sure that everyone keeps hearing about this deadline so that we have plenty of time to put together a proposal. But second, I'm curious if there's any ideas that people here want to collaborate working on a proposal for. This is very open-ended. Submit a proposal for funding from the foundation. It can be pretty ambitious. So, our targets are to award at least 225,000. It can be also less ambitious. If you need $5,000 or $10,000 for something, get the idea out here. The first step is opening an issue to attract interest, attract collaborators, etc., flesh out an idea. And then the second step is to write a proposal using a Google Doc template. So, thoughts? What would you like to see done in the front ends project? Okay, so consider this an announcement of interest, and it's out there, and the deadline's coming up in a few weeks. If there's things that you're like, wow, you know what Jupyter could really use strategically that would unblock a lot of effort or unblock a lot of things, we would love to have XYZ, but we just don't have funding. It would take like $10,000 or $50,000 or whatever to do this. Put the idea out there, open an issue, attract interest, etc., and get started on writing a proposal. The deadline will sneak up on you before you know it, as is typical with these things. The third thing is the PR triage board. So we put this up a week or two ago. Some people have been using it. You can click through it if you'd like from the link. The question I have is, how useful has it been? And is there any extra information that you would like to see in this board? We've had some conversations last week at the Jupyter Hub Collaboration Cafe around this. UV and I and Men were there talking about what we would want to add to this triage board. But what What's the reaction to it? And is there any extra data that you would love to see in it?
I have personally not used it, but it's also not been, in the way. So I don't mind
Great.
keeping it around if people want to have it.
That's great to hear. Yes. Anybody else? Has anybody used it?
Yes, I use it and I find it useful. I do not remember to check it regularly, but sometimes when I do, it's useful to highlight PRs which were overlooked.
Fantastic. The updates that we've had since last week, it is now being updated hourly or on any change of the actual bot. So we got the automated updates in, and I think the next thing, user visible change we're working on is adding an extra field of information that is who did the last action. Was it the author or a maintainer or other? And what was that last action? A commit, a review, or a comment? And the idea here is to understand like whose court the ball is in. If we can, make a screen that is things where the author was the last person doing an action on the PR, and try to help filter down to, when is it a maintainer's turn to work on the PR or to respond to something on the PR versus when is it the author's turn to respond to the PR. It won't be perfect, but it should help us sort of stay on top of that just by seeing what the last action was and who did it. And then also just FYI, several of us are working on a JupyterLab workshop for JupyterCon. I was just about to post the link to the schedule here. So it's actually 2 workshops put together that's right now signed up for 6 hours covering JupyterLab extensions. Vidar.
Oh, sorry, to finish your workshop stuff. This was for the triage board.
Excellent. That was my FYI. I'm just posting up 2 links.
Okay. Yeah, just for the triage board, it classifies this as maintainer and seasoned contributor, but this is doing it on the org level, right? So I think it misclassifies things on a repo level. So for example, I see I have one in Lumino. I am not a maintainer in Lumino.
Okay. Yeah, this is a good call.
I'm not even sure if I am, which repos into JupyterLab org I am a maintainer on, but it's definitely not all of them.
Yeah, that's a good call out. And in fact, in general, it works with the org level. It was originally written by UV for the Jupyter Hub, which I think is much tighter, as in they have maintainer status across the org rather than per repo, and a lot fewer repos and a lot fewer open PRs. And so unleashing it on JupyterLab gives us quite a bit more varied environment. And we haven't put it on like the Jupyter GitHub org, which of course many subprojects share. So that becomes much more important to be able to, for example, scope things to particular sets of repos rather than the entire org. So that's a good call out. Maintainers on a particular PR should be scoped at the repo level, not the org level. Do you want to open an issue for that? There's a link to the issues here. It would be great to capture that into an issue. Okay, I think that's everything I wanted to put out there for everyone.
Thanks, Susan. I think that's the end of our agenda. So I think I can end the recording unless someone else has any additional items to add there. We can end the recording into the off the record section. Thanks everyone for joining us. We'll head on to the off the record portion of the call.